get in here.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite adhesives, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at another Reprolabels update. People have been asking me to do one of these for a while, and I actually had a conversation with the folks at Reprolabels when I was at TFCon. You know, I like to be transparent about all this kind of stuff. They asked if I would be interested in doing a review if they sent me a couple sets. I hadn't ordered in a while, so I was like, absolutely. I did tell them, as I've told everyone I've ever talked to, that look, if it's trash, I gotta say it's trash. And they were like, yep, that's cool with us. We know what time it is, so I was like, that's cool with me. Let's rock and roll then. So I grabbed a couple sets. Some of those sets are sets for combiners that I'd already purchased a few of the sets for, but let's go ahead and get started without too much rigmarole, so to speak. So, if you remember, this is Fans Toys Phoenix, and one of my big gripes was it didn't have that Fans Toys finish, or that metallic flecked plastic. Those two aspects of display that really help bring a figure to life, and in my opinion, and also in my friend Jisk's opinion, really make a masterpiece a masterpiece. So I figured, what would a couple stickers do to really hurt this guy? I don't think a thing. He comes with more than I'll probably use, which is usually the case with Reprolabels. That's nice to have the option, but we'll talk about if the path that I am going to choose is ultimately worth it. Let's get him stickered up. So here we are, and honestly, we're not off to the best start, at least in my opinion. So I didn't use many. I used the red stripes there on the forearms. I think that breaks up that white a little bit and ends up looking pretty sharp. I used the accents here as two yellow stickers and then the red stickers up at the top. Let's see, you can't really see that. I think that breaks it up nice as well. You know, that's a very plain looking section. Plain. Stop it. Anyway, I added these down here on the feet. I think that looks great. Unfortunately, with this set, even the Autobot sticker, I added one with the translucent background that I had from another sticker set because I just didn't want the silver outline there. I also added in those silver details up at the top on both shoulders. I added in just a little bit of like little Gundam type of sticker there, and then those yellow stickers there, and I added that on both sides. I know it's on the back so you don't really see it, but I thought they were cool. I couldn't bring myself to use the ones on the hips, so I wanted to use something. It makes me feel better that they're there, but I understand that not being the greatest of worth as well. Unfortunately, with this set, it's $23. So that's a lot of money for some stickers, and there's a lot of stickers that you get for that price. The unfortunate side is that most of them are these silver, like metallic type stickers, and I feel like they usually detract more than they add. So pretty much anything that with the silver I was out on, and then you get the Autobot Decepticon symbols. Once again, I didn't want the silver outline for mine. You get these, which you can put on the jet, which I almost did, but it wasn't really necessary. But those are nice because you get those three different options. I guess that's the Macross or whatever. I would guess, I don't know. And then the Autobot and Decepticon. And then you get these, and a lot of these are great. And I thought I was going to use them, and then when it came time to rock and roll, I just couldn't. Like I just found, for my own personal taste, they were just a little too distracting. I added those ones on the back. Those are these here. And that might be it. So I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And then on these I added, you know, those were the shoulder ones, and I forget what these were. These are the red ones up top. It's all the yellow ones. Oh, well, not all the yellow ones, but I used a lot of the yellow ones. So yeah, like it's just for this particular set and the price point, like there's just a lot of silver that you can add. You can add silver to the thighs, and the problem with that is it doesn't end up looking like he has metal legs. It just looks like he has metal stickers on his legs. So it's not the most effective in terms of to accomplish what I think they're trying to accomplish. I do like the approach with these. This is not their fault. This is my inability to commit to this. If you like this kind of stuff, which I completely understand, this will work extremely well. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I got cold feet. I have to be honest. I chickened out. But I did add a few, but just not enough nearly for me and my sensibility to recommend it for $23. It just doesn't. It's just of the stuff that I'd be willing to use from it, it just doesn't do enough. And even the Autobot symbol, which is kind of like the most, you know, it's the most necessity kind of. I didn't even use the one that came with the set. So yeah, it's not a recommend from me. But if you really dig those Gundam type you know, tempo look of all the danger and all the written words and stuff, then you'll have a blast with this. I just couldn't commit to all that. Now, I honestly think that you get your most bang for your buck with stuff like this when it comes to Reprolabels. Stuff that's a little bit more stylistic anyway. And obviously, this is the more IDW-inspired take. A little off, though, but that's a separate MMC conversation that we've already had. But it's this type of figure where I feel like Reprolabels can really come in handy. Let's give it a shot. Now, much like expected, this was awesome, and it's only $10. This is a very strong recommend from me. I'll show you everything that I used. As a general rule, I never put stickers over paint when the figure isn't entirely painted. That's just like a general rule that I follow. So they have stickers for this that I might even prefer over the silver, but I just couldn't put it over the paint. I'm too much of a paint snob. You have to forgive my hands. I don't know, a fight with a cigarette recently. No, it wasn't that, but it's just I injured my hands. I'm doing some work on my basement. Don't worry about it. I'm not. You shouldn't be either. I use this Wreck and Rule sticker here on the sticker here on the shoulder, and then some of these orange accents here, there, even some on the kibble and stuff I used there, the circles. There's stickers here for the circles, another orange set in there, and then like a more interesting thing that covers up the screw there. So I definitely use those. I used some of those wordy stickers here and here. I couldn't use the 9. I couldn't commit to that. I was okay with that once that was broken up, so I couldn't commit to that. There's these, I love when they do stuff like this. Little thin black stickers here and here. They look perfect. It breaks up the orange. That's the kind of stuff that I love from Reprolabels. I could have used something in here. This stuff here on the chest, all that stuff I think is perfect, works well. The 2 black stripes up there as well, same sort of deal. I think that that's awesome. And then we have, what else? This little piece here in the abdomen, that works well. I put the Wrecker symbols on his forearm shields. I do love the Wrecker symbol a lot. And these IDW, it gives you a little bit more creativity to expand on the character a bit, so I like that. I use some of the wording here and down in there. And then a lot of this stuff to break up this gun. There was like a thing here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's this piece. It's I don't know. It looked a little hokey to me. It just didn't look like it was doing. I know what they were trying to do. It just didn't look like that it was doing it effectively. This stuff here is for the shoulders. The green stuff is mainly for alt mode. That stuff is mainly for alt mode, and I'll never flip them back at this point probably. So this stuff here is for the knees. I couldn't do it. I think that because it's just covering up the side panels of the knees, it's not going to really give you the look that you're looking for. It'll have that big orange stripe. It'll seem incomplete. This stuff I used a lot, as you can tell, with just a very, very few exceptions, including the 9s. And then this stuff, I went with the white Wrecker symbols over the blue, and then I used the red. I would have liked to have incorporated this Decepticon, like, you know, enemies destroyed kind of sticker in, but I went with a bunch of tally marks instead, and I just thought that looked a little bit cooler. Another Wrecker symbol up there. Has a lot of optional sets with this, breaks up the color quite nicely, adds some unique character elements to them, a lot of cool accents and different color breakup that it adds to a figure that's pretty much unpainted. These little stuff on the toes there. This is a set, and for only $10 that I strongly recommend. This really brings this figure to life in my opinion. Now, this is actually one of my favorite Fans Toys releases. I just love the sculpt, and I love the way it displays. It has that metallic flake plastic. It has the paint. It has all those things that we talk about that are really high notes for me. I was looking at the set. The set seemed like it could go 50-50. I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to use, but I would imagine that if I was on the fence with it, a lot of other people would have been on the fence with it, so I figured it was worth me taking a look, deciding what I wanted to use, take a look at those results, and then help you guys make your decision. Now, unfortunately, with this one, it's kind of more of the same. You know, the MP stuff, especially the more tune accurate the things are getting, the more difficult it's becoming. But I think, personally, my personal opinion is that it has to do with the way that they're approaching them, not necessarily the idea of adding to cartoon masterpiece style figures. I don't think that there's a problem adding stickers to those sorts of figures. It's just the approach that Reprolabels is taking with some of it. So what they do is, for the most part, is try to give you a very toy vibe, which I don't think most people are looking for. I understand that there are people that look for it. I get that, but I think the large majority are not. So once again, I think it comes down to small accents. I like putting the license plate on. I know that's not like a a tune accurate thing. I just think it looks cool. I think it gives it a little bit more character. I put a translucent or transparent sticker of the Autobot symbol on his chest because I didn't want the silver break up there, and I don't even know if they have a sticker for that position. They want it to go up top like the toy, and that's not where I want it. I added these two here on the sides. Like, I think that's a nice little sharp color breakup for all that green. I think that works really nice. And then these two inside the hips there. Let me see if I can zoom in. Little stuff like that, right there and right there. Just a little color breakup to make the whole thing look a little bit more interesting. That's where I think Reprolabels should try to remain, just in that little pocket of finding small pieces of sculpt work to add interesting accents in order to kind of bring the figure to life a bit more. So I like those two. I use those on the opposite side as well. And then I added these green ones to the back, just in case you ever see him from the back. He has a little bit more green on that kibble there. And then it's just on the back of the seats. Should you go to alt mode, I don't think that's a problem whatsoever. So this is $12 for this set. I can't really recommend it in good conscience if you're going for this sort of look. If you're going for the toy look, 100% worth it. You get all sorts of gold accents down here that you would put in that and then stuff for the I would have liked to have used that personally, but I don't display the shield or the spare tire. And then you get plenty of like the stars and stuff for the Jeep mode. Like, you can really do some great things with this set if your intention is to have it look a certain way. Me personally, I don't want it to look that way, but I would have loved just some small accent stuff along the way, stuff like that. I think that looks beautiful. I think that the green on the back of the seats is a nice touch. Not everybody would commit to something like this, but I'm definitely comfortable with it. I like the little stuff like on the hip skirts and like just little small accent pieces that help break up the color and help make the piece overall look a lot more interesting and intriguing. So here's TFC's Defensor. This is a one I've been wanting to add stickers to for a long time. I bought a couple sets, and then I asked Reprolabels to send me the few that I was missing. This is one of the sets that I thought looked the best, at least in design. There's a lot of liberties taken, but there's a lot of liberties taken with this sculpt, so it's the same sort of principles, right? When the sculpt takes liberties, the stickers can take liberties, and then before you know it, you have a more dynamic, interesting, and unique-looking piece. This is going to be a lot of stickers to apply, so I'll be back instantly for you, but for me, it will probably be an hour or so. So this is actually a great set, pretty much across the board. Hotspot is the one that's kind of the weaker. That's the one that I didn't use most of, just because it's a lot of these type of details that I'm just not into. Or sirens to put on the plastic, which just, it doesn't look believable. I understand what they were going for, but I just don't ultimately think it's the right choice. And then I didn't use a lot of the stickers because you just don't see it in this mode, which is how I have him displayed currently. And those who know or have dealt with Reprolabels after you have a combiner combined, it's not the most fun thing to put stickers on. Always one. Right. Come on. Forget it. That being said, as for the Limbots, I use probably 80% of all the stickers. I think they're all great sets. I think that you can get away with just buying the stickers for the Limbots. That would be 40 as opposed to 53. But the Hotspot is a decent set as well. There's tons of these little accents. They're all the units are now numbered. 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, I think. I think that's the way they did it. They all have this like Autobot City markings on them, like Autobot City Police, Autobot City Fire and Rescue, etc., etc. It's just a good look. I will say, like, this guy was pretty solid for me when I put him together, but the ankle joints are just failing over time. But that's not Reprolabels' fault. There's also this, but which I don't have him on there, and I got this Autobot City Fire and Rescue sticker on there. It's just a very uniform, cohesive, really brings the set together. There's a lot. I'll tell you one little smart accent I love. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. These white on the inside of the thighs, they're fantastic. I love little stuff like that. That's my favorite sort of sticker. But there's all sorts of stuff. The protect and serve up there. I'm not crazy about those details in the chest, but the spacing is just so perfect not to put something there. So that's what I went for. And then down there, the units are marked, and we got the kind of caution lining, and I don't know, the Autobot symbols are coming through on them. The numbers are coming through on them. It's just a really cohesive, unifying set, and it doesn't hurt that the colors for the base of the character are also pretty uniform. So ultimately, it just makes the whole thing just a lot more cohesive and better feeling. And then the last kind of full set that we're going to look at today, we're going to look at a couple others, but the last full set that we're going to look at today are the sets for Unique Toys Abominus. This guy already has a pretty decent amount of color breakup, but there was just some interesting stuff in this set that I thought would, I don't know, be worth taking a moment to take a look at. Whether or not I'm going to use most of them, time will tell. I wasn't crazy about all the designs, even looking at them on a computer screen, but you got to watch him. Give it a couple seconds to see if anything. I tell you, man, I'm all about the parts forming combiner these days. But anyway, let me take a look at this guy before he falls all over the place. So there's good news and bad news here. The good news is the only really great set that I feel like I have to recommend that you buy. I need to dust. I dust once a year. It's in March, so we're getting a little dusty. Is Hagen. He comes with a lot of stuff. All this purple in the tail here, really useful. Down the back of the tail, the little red up in the cheekbones there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that looks great. He comes with a lot of little accents that are nice. And that set, all the limb sets are just $5 a piece at this point. So I used a few for Blot, and I used a few for Center Twin. I used just a couple for Ripper Snapper, and then just a couple for Abominus. So, the good news is these are relatively cheap. The better news is I think this is the only one that's kind of a must get, and then you can kind of just deck this guy out with some Decepticon symbols and call it a day. There's an awful lot of attempts here to make something interesting. Like they gave each one a unique Decepticon symbol. Let me try to zoom in on that. Like if you see there, he's got like a little unique symbol, and they all have them, but they don't really come through in combine mode, which is a bummer because I would have used all of those, but his are the only ones that are really visible. It's not that they're bad sets, and I think they really tried to make something interesting, but it just doesn't really come through. And there's a lot of metallics, there's a lot of like fire stuff like in some of these down here, and that's kind of uniform throughout, but it doesn't really look like there's fire inside these guys. It just looks like somebody put a fire sticker on top of it, which is, that's just a difficult thing to pull off. I also want to say that I think a lot of these Decepticon symbols, I think that like the faction symbols are really the draw for a lot of these sets. I think that's what pulls people in, and then people are like, oh cool, I could use this and use that as well. So if, my recommendation would be to have a couple different options for the faction sets, so they don't always have to have the silver background, which I think is distracting oftentimes. I think having the white, silver, and transparent would be nice for each, but I think the white and the transparent are the better ways to go. I think the silver is actually the worst way to go, in my opinion, and I would like to see them either give you some options or move away from this silver for the faction logos. The main man logos. Once again, there's a lot of intense stickers for this set, and intense stickers. I think they're a little bit more distracting than they are helpful. I like nice little subtle accents, and we do get a few of those, like up here on the shoulder, over here on this shoulder. That's actually a little more intense than I would have preferred it down here, but these right here at the top of Blot. Like those are nice little accents. They don't take away. They're there if you notice them, and it helps break the color up a little bit. And that's the kind of stuff that I think really comes through. So they're not terrible sets. This is a great set, and they're $5, so that's a nice price point for them. And I think you can skip the middle one altogether, which is probably a bit more expensive. And then I always like to do a quick little portion where I'm just putting faction symbols on. I can talk about the ones I chose and why. So I'll do a set of Autobots and then a set of Decepticons. And these are the 5 Autobots. All right, so I got to use a number of different types here, which was nice. I used the transparent, I believe that's the 3rd row Autobot sticker for Wheelie. I think it's perfect. And then I used the white outline one, and this is the 2nd row, I believe, like the 2nd size for Power Glide. Once again, it's a nice choice. This is actually how it is in the cartoon. I looked it up because I was about to make a mistake. I used the transparent 2nd row for Wind Charger. It's really tight. If you shave a little bit off the top, it'll work. And I used, this was a first for me, I used like the raised They have like the raised sticker option, where like the symbol is actually kind of three-dimensional and has a silver background, so it matches this silver background, you know, paint fairly well for tailgate, and I think that that works. And then, you know, the Jazz was a bit tricky because it has that red symbol. I think I used the third size, and it fits, it covers up all that red, and then it just sits nice inside that white outline. So that's how I rolled there. And we should probably do a couple cons while we're here. And here they are. I used the third row Decepticon symbol and lined it up with the top of the shoulder and the edge of this panel line here on the shoulder for a reflector. And I'm happy with all those. I think that was the right choice. These two, I'm not as much sure, but let's talk about it real quick. So Starscream was the easier, and I lined it up using these. If you follow these two panel lines that run down the center of his wing, they come to a point and then follow straight down. I put the nose of the Decepticon symbol with that and then lined it up to the white line on the wing. I did the same on the other side. I did that in order to make sure that they were both symmetrical. I think I maybe should have gone with a bigger symbol there, but I'm not angry. I'm not angry at it. I could have taken it off had I been angry at it. It's hard to do because of all the panel lines. It's hard to find the right symbol that'll work, and I think that it's just enough to kind of get the job done. Galvatron, on the other hand, is a little bit more of a complicated beast. So I initially tried a clear one. In the cartoon, you know, he doesn't have the white outline, obviously, but it's a very different purple. And the Reprolabel transparent plastic with the symbol on top, it's a very similar purple, and it just got lost in the chest. So I threw the white on. I'm not mad at it. It matches the face. You know, the white matches the face, so I'm kind of good with that. But I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I think it'll be good enough. It doesn't bother me. You know, I just had to, sometimes making the wrong decision is better than making no decision at all. In terms of Reprolabels, like I said, I like to see more variation in the faction symbols. I think that's what brings people to the table when it involves them. I'd like to see less stickers done on complete silver sheets. I think that really throws a monkey wrench into the versatility of the set. I'd like to see a lot more fine accent pieces rather than full large sticker placements, because I think when they stick to that sort of regiment, it ends up making a sharp, dynamic, interesting, and subtly brilliant set. And that's what they should be aiming for, especially today when we're getting a lot more paint, we're getting a lot more varieties in types of paint, a lot more varieties in finishes, etc. I think that's the way to go personally. I understand that the G1 toy is a large market. I understand they try to cater to that a lot. I get it. I'd be willing to pay a little bit more to get a set that wasn't in line with that sort of thinking. I do want to take a second and thank them. Like, it takes a lot of balls and a lot of pride in your product to want to send me stuff, because I'm going to tell you if it's trash. You know, like I don't like the Skyfire set, the Fans Toys Phoenix, and that's a relatively new set, and I'm sure they're trying to sell it, and I can't recommend it to you guys, and they don't care. They have confidence enough in their product where they'll stand behind it, and it means a lot to me. It should be a good sign to you of them. Obviously, they don't have a whole lot of competition that they're competing with, but still, it says something about standing behind your product, believing in your product, having pride in your product, and they'll have my respect for that forever. So I hope we can continue looking at sets. You know, I hope I haven't shot myself in the foot here, but if I have, I'll buy the sets. It wouldn't be the first time I bought a set, but we've had a really good rapport so far, so I hope that continues, and then I can look at more sets that I maybe wouldn't even necessarily have gotten in the past. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.